Have you earned the diagnosis alcoholic? That question haunts millions of people every night as they stare at the bottom of a glass, wondering if they've crossed some invisible line. For decades, we've been told that there are two categories. You're either a normal drinker or you're an alcoholic. But what if that very label, the one that's supposed to help you, is actually the biggest obstacle standing between you and change? I'm Dr. Donald Crowe. I practiced emergency medicine for 40 years, and during that time, I watched the medical definition of alcoholism shift like a moving target. We spent so much time arguing about who deserves the label that we ignored the people whose lives were being torn apart. The irony is, I was one of those people. I knew my drinking was toxic, but I just didn't really believe it was that bad. For me, the uncertainty surrounding the diagnosis of alcoholism allowed me to rationalize that the label didn't apply to me. Unfortunately, the disease that was slowly killing me was impervious to whatever name it was given. Today, I want to dismantle that broken model, so intent on diagnosing a disease, and replace it with something more practical, something that actually can become a springboard for change. A simple question. Is your drinking irrational? Back in the mid-1950s, the American Medical Association officially recognized alcoholism as a disease. That was a breakthrough. It moved alcohol problems out of the realm of moral failure and into medicine. But it created a new problem. If it's a disease, then who exactly has it? The diagnostic criteria I learned in the late 1970s relied almost entirely on consequences. Did you lose your job? Did you get a DUI, lose your marriage? Did you destroy your liver? Here's the flaw. Consequences often depend on luck. I've seen people pulled over for a broken taillight on their very first night of drinking and end up with a DUI that followed them for decades. And I've watched others drink heavily for 20 years and dodge those bullets through sheer chance. That randomness created a dangerous illusion of safety. I've diagnosed patients in the emergency department with end-stage liver failure, a fatal disease caused by alcohol. But they looked me in the eye and said, "I never thought I was an alcoholic." Their doctors never suggested it either. They didn't fit the stereotype. They had jobs, families, and seemed outwardly successful. We were waiting for moral collapse before acting. By the 1980s, it became obvious that a better way of understanding the disease and identifying who had it was necessary. As neuroscience evolved, it became apparent that this wasn't about weak character. Some people, even disciplined, very successful people, simply cannot drink without self-destruction. So the usefulness for the term alcoholic began to fall apart. It was pejorative, moralistic, poisoned. That's when alcohol use disorder, or AUD, entered the picture. It sounds more clinical, and in most settings, it's better than calling someone an alcoholic. But it still kept the same flaw. It still waited for damage to pile up. The diagnostic criteria taught to caregivers for AUD were long and cumbersome. Most physicians didn't have the time or energy to apply them. So medicine did what it always did when overwhelmed. It tended to simplify. And out of that need came brief screening tools, arguably the most popular of which was the CAGE questionnaire, which stands for C, control, have you tried to cut down? A, annoyed, has your drinking annoyed others? G, guilty, have you felt guilty about your drinking? And E, eye-opener, have you ever had a drink in the morning? Answer yes to even one, and the odds are high that deeper evaluation would confirm a serious problem. Here's the gut punch. I answered yes to all four. And I told no one. I even thought that we should add a fifth question. Have you ever tried to hide your drinking? I didn't get sober until my life exploded. I missed over a decade of opportunity, not because I lacked information, but because the labels allowed me to keep pretending I was okay. Here's the reality. This isn't a light switch. It's not alcoholic versus normal. It's not as simple as sick or diseased. It's a spectrum, and binary thinking can trap people. They keep asking, is my problem bad enough? Have I suffered enough damage yet? That's the wrong question. Instead of asking, am I an alcoholic? Ask, has my drinking become irrational? That's it. Irrationality only means one thing. Do you drink when you know that you shouldn't? When you have an early meeting? When you promised your spouse you wouldn't? When you already know that you'll feel awful tomorrow? That internal conflict, that's the disease, not the label. The problem is that the human capacity for self-deception is unbounded. As we judge our own lives, we cannot help but rationalize and spin, usually in ways that help us avoid change. Science knows this. That's why objective data is the currency of science. In order for individuals to determine whether their drinking has become irrational, the gathering of objective data is necessary to help overcome our tendency to lie to ourselves. To that end, I created a tool called the CCBBAA checklist. It can help provide data to help answer the question, is my drinking irrational? It's not a diagnostic exam. It's an integrity mirror. You answer it alone, sober, brutally honest. Its purpose is simple, to determine whether your drinking has become irrational. It's straightforward, private, and can be completed in 20 minutes. And it's free. Simply click the link in the description below. And here's a spoiler alert, the final A in the checklist stands for action. Because insight without action is just self-deception with a better vocabulary. So, if you're even suspicious that alcohol is taking more than it's giving in your life, I urge you not to worry about any diagnostic label, but instead to honestly answer the real question, has my drinking become irrational? Download the checklist, complete it, and I'm confident that you will have your answer. Whatever that answer, you will move forward with a clearer understanding of your starting point. You can move forward without a diagnostic label. You can move forward without your life first disintegrating. But you cannot move forward if you give in to denial and inaction. So take these actions. Download the checklist, subscribe to this channel, give us a like, and comment below. These are small actions, but they are a beginning. And why not check out this other video that may help you reframe your thinking about what an alcoholic is. I'm Dr. Donald Crowe, and I'll see you in the next one.